Before the gates of time swing open, pause, breathe, and mark this moment. If your heart beats faster at the brush of destiny, if your eyes ache for hidden light, then lace your soul to this story and do not let go. Tap the covenant of subscription and tie yourself to every heartbeat, for what unfolds will burn itself into your memory. Now, listen as the night air pulls back its veil and Jerusalem awakens beneath twin moons of fear and longing. Bronze clouds boil above the city of David, casting bruised shadows over limestone walls. Torches flicker like pleading souls. Traders pack up their stalls, glancing at the horizon as though the sky itself drums an omen. Somewhere beyond Mount Olivet, thunder grumbles, yet no lightning splits the heavens. The sound is deeper, older, the growl of an invisible lion circling prey. Nathaniel, son of Ezra, strides through the narrow lane called the Weaver's Thread. His linen robe clings to sweat. The leather belt biting his waist cannot still his racing thoughts. For nights he has dreamed a single word, shamar, watch, and each dawn he wakes with the taste of ash and honey. Tonight, the dream followed him into waking. He turns into the courtyard of the Potter's Gate, just as the trumpets for evening sacrifice slice the air. Silver notes tremble against alabaster pillars. Every echo feels like a turning key in some immense door. And then the silence after the trumpets, absolute, cavernous, terrifying. A silence that feels like final breath before the plunge. From the shadows steps a young woman, her pale blue dress catching stray torchlight. Miriam, daughter of Salome, water-bearer and secret poet of psalms never heard. Her eyes hold galaxies of questions. She presses a folded scrap into Nathaniel's palm. The parchment is warm, as if it has been resting against a heartbeat. "Meet me where the cedars lean," she whispers. "Bring no one." Before he can reply, a gust extinguishes half the torches in the courtyard. Flames die with a sigh, and in the sudden gloom, Miriam disappears like vapor at sunrise. Nathaniel unfolds the scrap. Only one line is written. Ink so fresh it glistens. The sealed scroll awakens. The watchers assemble. His pulse stammers. The sealed scroll was rumor, legend. Some swore it was hidden beneath the Holy of Holies since the days of Jeremiah. Others that it traveled in exile with the ark. Scholars, scribes, prophets, they devoured lives chasing the rumor. Now, the rumor chases him. Thunder again, closer, though the sky remains unbroken. An unseen shofar moans across rooftops. Nathaniel looks up and sees the Temple Mount, haloed in a strange copper glow. For an instant, the great veil inside seems to billow, as though giants breathe behind it. Then the vision is gone. He clenches the parchment, draws his hood, and slips into the labyrinth of streets. Somewhere ahead, cedars lean. Somewhere ahead, destiny paces. At the corner where two alleys kiss, a figure blocks his path. Eliab, son of Aaron, once a temple scribe, now hollow-eyed, robed dark as dried blood. His fingers clutch a leather scroll pouch, the same pouch that once held king's decrees. His voice rasps like sand in wind. "They will hunt you, Nathaniel." The scroll chooses its reader, and the choice summons knives. Nathaniel's mouth dries. "Do you speak of fables again?" Eliab's laugh is quieter than a blade unsheathing. "The fable stands behind you. Turn." Nathaniel pivots. A Roman centurion towers in iron plates, helm crest slicing moonlight. His eyes are obsidian, unreadable. By his side hangs a curved spear he calls mercy. The centurion speaks, Hebrew laced with the burr of Latin. "The seal you seek belongs to Caesar now." Nathaniel's stomach sinks. Rome has heard the rumors too. He meets the soldier's gaze. And what if the seal belongs to heaven, not to men? A faint smile cracks the centurion's mask. Then heaven must negotiate. The soldier steps aside, but his meaning is iron. Every path leads through Rome's fist. Nathaniel hurries past, hearing armored footsteps echo after him until the alley turns. When he reaches the grove where ancient cedars bend toward each other like conspirators, Miriam waits beneath their sighing branches. Moonlight paints her features silver. At her feet, an oil lamp glows, and beside it lies a clay jar, half buried in soil. Symbols etched on its lid shimmer. Miriam kneels and brushes dirt away. My father found this jar hidden in a collapsed tunnel near the western wall. Legend claims Jeremiah sealed a scroll inside a clay vessel, that it might last many days. She prized the lid. Inside, a tightly wound scroll bound with crimson thread. Nathaniel feels the night inhale. He reaches, but Miriam's hand stops him. You open it, you bind yourself to its prophecy. Are you ready? The question hangs like a sword over their heads. The jar's lamp sputters. Flames dance, and the crimson thread twitches as though alive. Wind surges through the cedars, rattling dry needles like bones. Nathaniel lifts the scroll. Cold air spills from the vessel as if ages imprisoned rush to escape. The thread falls away at a touch, and the parchment unfurls in trembling spirals. Golden dust drifts upward, forming shapes that vanish before comprehension. Then words appear, glowing, rewriting themselves, shifting languages faster than eyes can follow. Finally, they settle into Hebrew so ancient it predates Moses. Miriam reads aloud, her voice quivering. In the 70 times 7th horizon, Jerusalem shall drink bitter wine, and the watcher who bears the mark of fire shall stand between ruin and renewal. A hush swallows her last syllable. The oil lamp shudders, casting claws of light. Nathaniel stares at the parchment. There, etched in faint charcoal, a sigil of flame identical to the birthmark on his wrist, hidden since childhood. His bones turn to ice. This is trickery. Miriam's breath clouds in the warm night. Feel the air, old as Genesis, alive as judgment. The ground trembles. Far off, temple trumpets sound dissonant, wrong, as if blown by hands that quake in fear. Suddenly, Eliab bursts into the grove, face streaked with sweat. The Romans march toward the mount. They mean to seize the priesthood and claim the articles of gold. Nathaniel hides the scroll in his cloak. We must warn the city. Eliab shakes. It is too late. They sealed the northern gate. Zealots muster on the rooftops. This night may bleed into years. A scream cleaves the air, steel against steel, the roar of fire catching timber. The siege begins. Miriam blows out the lamp. Darkness devours them, pierced only by distant flame. Through cedar silhouettes, they watch pillars of smoke spiral. Eliab mutters, "Fire will write the hidden name upon the stones." Nathaniel touches the scroll through his robe. Warmth pulses beneath his hand. He fears its glow might give them away. Below the grove, Jerusalem's streets become rivers of panic. Mothers clutch infants. Priests hurry relics into tunnels. The soundscape is part prayer, part war drum. Overhead, a star streaks burning green, trailing sparks. Miriam whispers, "An omen of kingdom against kingdom." Nathaniel grips her fingers. We meet the rabbi. He will see deeper. They race down slope toward a discreet courtyard where the rabbi teaches by lamplight. His listeners, fishermen, tax collectors, beggars, scholars, huddle around him, drawn by gravity of wonder. The rabbi's face glows gentle, eyes like dawn breaking over Galilee. When Nathaniel enters, the rabbi raises a hand. Conversation folds into silence. "You carry thunder in your cloak, friend." Nathaniel kneels, revealing the scroll. Murmurs ripple. The rabbi's gaze slides across the gathered faces and lingers on Nathaniel's wrist. "The mark of fire," he says softly. "Child of watchers." He beckons closer, but before Nathaniel can obey, a thunderous crack batters the courtyard. Temple stones splitting under Roman rams. Dust clouds billow like specters. The rabbi steadies the group with a single phrase. "Be not afraid." Prophecy does not shatter, it reshapes. Nathaniel lays the parchment before him. The rabbi touches it, and letters ignite. "There is a layer beneath what eyes perceive," he murmurs, fingers tracing symbols. A cipher hidden in these words points not merely to this hour, but to eons beyond. The name of this city will echo through millennia, each echo a trial, each trial a birth pang of something greater. But soldiers flood the street, and the rabbi looks up straight into the spear of the centurion named Mercy. Blood glistens on marble as the centurion steps forward. His presence sucks warmth from the air. The rabbi does not flinch. He studies the soldier with grief-tinged curiosity. "Leave us," Nathaniel pleads. "This is holy ground." "All ground is Rome's ground," the centurion replies, yet his eyes flick to the glowing scroll. Recognition kindles. He too has hunted this prize. Then Miriam thrusts herself between spear and rabbi. "If you crave parchment, take me instead." Respect and resentment shadow the centurion's face. Behind them, horns blare, calling citizens to revolt. A rain of arrows arcs overhead. One strikes the centurion's helmet, deflecting with a shriek. He curses and withdraws. Chaos seizes the courtyard. "Go," the rabbi says. "Carry the scroll to the valley of Elah. There you will see the shard of time." Nathaniel protests, but the rabbi's eyes blaze with command. "You ask to watch? Then watch all history unfold. Run." They flee into tunnels honeycombing Jerusalem. Above, muffled booms rattle dust from ceilings. Torches sputter. Rats vanish into niches older than kings. Their lungs burn. Eliab gasps, "Romans will choke these tunnels." Nathaniel shakes his head. The rabbi spoke. Elah beckons. Hours later, they crest a ridge overlooking the valley of Elah, where David once faced the giant. Fog clings like breath on glass. In the valley's center stands a shard of black obsidian taller than 3 men, jutting from earth as though fallen from an angry heaven. Lightning scars mar its surface. Miriam touches it. Her fingers spark blue. The shard of time. Nathaniel unrolls the scroll. Words flare turquoise, pour out in strands of light, wrapping the shard. Images from Babylonian siege, Roman fires, Crusader banners, Ottoman crescents, British flags, a modern city of glass towers. 14 May 1948. Crowds cheer. October 2030. Drones patrol shimmering walls. Lines converge on one phrase. 70 weeks times 7 shall unveil the watchers born of flame. He who bears the mark will stand at the gate when nations convulse. Miriam's arm now bears the same sigil as Nathaniel's wrist. 2 watchers, not 1, but Roman cavalry crests the hills. Centurion at front, mercy gleaming red with dawn. Bolts of iron whistle, horses rear. The parchment tears from Nathaniel's grip, fuses to the shard. The stone screams, cracks spider through earth. A vortex of sand engulfs them. Time fractures. Voices of refugees, crusaders, paratroopers echo across centuries. Nathaniel feels himself split across ages until he quakes beneath their weight. The centurion hurls his spear into the storm, and the world shatters into silence. Silence thicker than tombstone granite. Nathaniel opens his eyes. He stands on a quiet hill outside Jerusalem, but the city looks wrong. Towering metals, hovering machines, neon Hebrew, vehicles gliding without wheels. Miriam, Eliab, present yet marooned hundreds of years beyond their birth. The spear mercy sticks among glowing obsidian shards. 2 teens in olive uniforms approach. "Tour group lost? What year is this?" Miriam asks. The girl frowns. "You serious? It's 2025. Sirens wail from the Negev. Contrails bloom. Mushroom clouds taint sunrise. In a shard's mirror, Miriam sees blood-red moons, black flags, and, impossibly, the rabbi beneath olive trees, silently mouthing, "Return." They descend toward a city alive with drones and alarms. At Jaffa Gate, scanners chirp at Mercy's iron. A guard bends to confiscate an obsidian shard. Runes flare across its glassy skin. A quadcopter descends. Loudspeakers order compliance. Soldiers move in. Nathaniel lifts Mercy. The shard explodes into white fire, and the rabbi's eyes blaze inside the light. "Run to Megiddo!" He wakes in an interrogation room beneath cold blue panels. Colonel Barak of the Strategic Antiquities Division slides files across the table. "Time travelers. Wild claim. Yet your fingerprints appear in a scroll carbon-dated to the First Temple. Care to explain?" Miriam opens her palm. A hidden shard projects the words, "Armageddon Protocol." Alarms shriek. Circuits melt. Cuffs liquefy. They burst onto Temple Mount. Night once more, the city crimson with emergency lights. An excavator drills near the foundations. Professor Akiva, long missing, directs the dig. A column of light erupts. Golden edge of something vast. The Ark. Guards open fire. Bullets bend mid-air as Eliab chants prophetic fragments. Lightning forks from the beacon, freezing every combatant, except Nathaniel and Miriam, who, eyes locked, watch the Ark's lid begin to rise while a voice not heard since Sinai whispers their names. A being of living flame emerges. Witnesses etched by fire. The 77th cycle closes. Choose. Shield the covenant, or unveil it and let nations judge themselves. Drones swarm with micromissiles. The being absorbs blasts. The rabbi shouts, Megiddo, it is written! Roads buckle, clearing a path west. Mercy flares into a rod of light in Nathaniel's hand. They flee through Zion Gate, shards throbbing in his cloak. Above them, a meteor shower ignites the sky. Highway signs. Megiddo, 87 kilometers. Cars abandoned. Cell towers die. Silence unnatural. Armored columns of many nations roll north. Helicopters sweep searchlights. Tanks advance on the Jezreel Valley. Colonel Barak hands Nathaniel a driverless bike. Go! I'll stall them. Halfway, the bike falters, fried by waves from the ark's beacon. They crash, push on through vineyards. Dawn stains the sky blood orange. Megiddo's tell rises ahead, artillery jaws below. Atop the mound stands the centurion reborn, armor fused with modern composites, mercy reforged, crackling electric. Nathaniel stops. Enemy survived and evolved. He commands armies. Miriam slides a shard into Nathaniel's palm. The watchers' sigils pulse in unison. Eliab whispers. The final watch begins. The ground quakes. The tell splits. And from the chasm rises a war chariot of fire driven by the Rabbi, eyes blazing like the sunrise over Sinai as the centurion hurls lightning, and the valley of Armageddon awakens. The valley of Armageddon quivers like a heart too long restrained. Bronze dawn leaks across the horizon, but no bird dares sing. Atop the tell of Megiddo, the rabbi's chariot, woven from living flame and wheels of jasper, hangs in midair, illuminating the shattered spearheads and rust-scarred tanks scattered below. Sparks drip from its spokes and hiss against iron as though rain were falling upward. The centurion stands opposite, armored in a fusion of antiquity and tomorrow, bronze greaves grafted to carbon fiber plates, eagle plumes braided into electric filaments that crackle blue. His reforged weapon, still called Mercy, is no longer a spear of metal alone, but a rod of storm. Lightning forks dance along its shaft, searching for a target to love or destroy. Between them, Nathaniel and Miriam feel an invisible tide swell up their legs, through their lungs, into their skulls, an ocean of unseen voices, the collective breath of generations whose bones feed the soil beneath their feet. Each voice whispers a single command: choose. Wind explodes outward in concentric rings. Dust spirals into rearing columns that resemble pale giants before collapsing again. The armies arrayed across the Jezreel plain, polished regiments from a dozen nations, halt in awe. Their drones, once orbiting like mechanical locusts, drop to the ground, engines cold. Officers bark orders no ear obeys. Radios vomit static, then silence. A fissure opens at Nathaniel's feet, glowing with liquid ember. From its depths rises a single stone tablet, smooth, ivory white, unmarred by time. No letters appear upon it. Instead, the surface ripples like water, waiting for ink that has not yet been spilled. Eliab's weary voice drifts over the hush. The blank covenant, the promise still unwritten. Colonel Barak shoulders past immobilized infantry, his uniform torn, face smeared with soot. He locks eyes with Nathaniel, right wisely. But the centurion lifts Mercy and stamps its butt upon the cracked earth. Thunder booms. The fissure widens, swallowing discarded rifles. No covenant survives unchallenged, he says, voice amplified by the valley itself. Give me the watchers. Let Rome of every age guard the scroll, and the world may yet know order. Miriam steps forward. Her blue dress, tattered by explosions, flutters like a banner. She lifts the obsidian shard. Runes flare turquoise. Order without mercy is only another cage. The centurion's helm tilts, as if amused. You speak of mercy while wielding a fragment of the very stone that cuts the timeline to ribbons. Anger flashes in her eyes. Mercy is not the absence of power, Roman. It is the choice to wield power for healing. She raises the shard higher, and its glow turns warm gold. Above, the rabbi guides his fiery steeds lower, wheels grazing air. His face is calm, yet his voice rumbles with distant storm clouds. No mortal, no empire, no principality will own the covenant. It is gift and fire and mirror. It shows us as we are, or burns us to ash. He extends his right hand. Flames lick outward, weaving a second spear from pure light. Twin to mercy, yet thrumming with a healer's heartbeat. Nathaniel feels his wrist brand blaze. Pain and purpose intertwine. He takes the spear of light. The brand on Miriam's arm ignites in answer. A corona of flame halos her silhouette. Around them, time shivers. The plane flickers into past and future. Chariot wheels of Pharaoh appear and vanish. World $1 biplanes roar overhead and fade. A future swarm of silver orbs whistles by and dissolves. In each glimpse, the valley always ends in smoke. History, it seems, would happily replay calamity forever, unless someone writes a new line. The blank covenant hovers between Nathaniel and Miriam. Beneath its translucent sheen appear faint outlines of two figures, one male, one female, carved not in ink, but in negative space, waiting to be filled by living souls. Eliab drops to his knees. The watchers must sign with breath, not blood. The centurion's storm spear lashes lightning at the tablet. Miriam parries with her shard. Sparks spray skyward, forming constellations on daylight. Where each spark lands, flowers of molten glass bloom across abandoned helmet rims. Nathaniel lunges, his light spear striking the centurion's breastplate. Metal shrieks. Energy skitters off, carving glyphs in thin air. Soldiers gasp at invisible wounds hiss-sealing themselves. The chariot dips, and the rabbi calls, "Guard your hearts. The real battle is within the word you choose to write." A tremor deeper than any previous rumbles. The tell of Megiddo splinters, revealing a cavern mouth blazing with inner fire. From its depths rises a serpentine titan, scales of obsidian, eyes of ember, the ancient Leviathan once spoken of by Job. Shouts ricochet against tank hulls as the armies witness myth incarnate. The centurion steps back, gaze narrowing. Even I did not summon that. The rabbi's eyes darken. Creation itself rebels when prophecy reaches its hinge. Leviathan's roar scatters clouds. Its tail whips, pulverizing unwary vehicles. It scents the covenant, craving to devour destiny before it is penned. Miriam thrusts her shard toward the beast. A beam of light javelins into its flank, chiseling molten lines. Leviathan cries, but new scales grow, hotter and hungrier. Nathaniel's spear of light cleaves at the air, carving concentric runes that hover like luminous shields around the valley's perimeter, slowing the creature's advance. Colonel Barak rallies a knot of soldiers. Focus fire on its eyes. Give the watchers room. Yet bullets ricochet like pebbles upon a mountain. Rockets detonate harmless. Even the centurion's storm spear arcs lightning that slides off Leviathan like drizzle on slate. Eliab staggers to the covenant, parchment of Jeremiah's prophecy flapping from his scroll pouch. He stretches it across the blank tablet. Ink seeps through like blood through linen, shapes coalescing into a single Hebrew letter, Aleph, the breath before speech. Instantly, the valley brightens. The chariot wheels blaze whiter. The Leviathan flinches, smoke venting from nostrils. "Finish the word!" Eliab cries, voice cracking. "Every epoch waits on you!" But the centurion throws mercy, now a comet of blue fire, straight at the tablet. Nathaniel intercepts. The impact hurls him backward, spear torn from his hands. He lands hard beside an overturned APC. Dazed, he glimpses the centurion storming the covenant. Miriam kneels over the tablet, defender and scribe both. The shard in her hand reshapes into a quill of obsidian glass. Behind her, Leviathan coils for a killing strike. Eliab wheels on the centurion, thrusting Jeremiah's scroll like a talisman. "You cannot cage prophecy!" The centurion batters him aside, bones cracking. He seizes the covenant. At his touch, the unfinished olive twists, its curves warping into a shape like a noose. The valley darkens. Leviathan roars triumphant and surges forward, drawn by malice now pulsing from the tablet. Nathaniel forces himself upright. He sees Eliab crumpled, sees Miriam bracing under the Leviathan's looming shadow, sees the centurion's grip whitening on the covenant. One decision stands before him like a sheer cliff. He remembers the rabbi's words in the tunnels. Prophecy does not shatter, it reshapes. He recalls Miriam's definition of mercy, power for healing, and he recalls his own dream command, Shamar, watch, which now rings not as passive observation, but vigilant guardianship. He runs. Each stride becomes a decade. He is sprinting along the timeline of Israel itself, exile and return, ashes and bloom, lamentation and psalm. The air thickens with overlapping eras. With each step, he gathers them, slivers of pain and triumph, into the brand upon his wrist. He reaches the centurion just as Leviathan's jaws descend. Nathaniel seizes mercy protruding from the ground where it fell. Flame coils around his arm. Ancient bronze and future alloy bind to his flesh, forging arm and spear into one. The brand spreads across his chest, fiery branches of a living menorah. "Let go," he tells the centurion softly. For the first time, doubt cracks the Roman's obsidian stare. "Why would I yield victory?" "Because what you hold is not victory, it's vacancy. The covenant needs heart, not conquest." The centurion hesitates, but Leviathan will not. Its shadow engulfs them. Miriam looks upward into a nightmarish maw ringed by teeth longer than swords. Nathaniel pivots and hurls mercy. The moment the spear leaves his hand, its tip blossoms into brilliant white. It pierces Leviathan's upper jaw, anchoring deep. Instead of blood, constellations spill out, points of light swirling into galaxies. Yet the monster fights on, thrashing the plain into trenches. A word unfurls across the sky, enormous. Ruach, breath. The ground inhales. Dust, smoke, sparks. Everything is drawn toward the covenant. Miriam, guided by impulse older than Eden, presses her palm to the blank space beside the twisted Aleph. Blood from a cut streaks across stone, but the tablet drinks not the blood, only the intention inside it. Red darkens to gold, and the mangled letter straightens into Aleph once more, then adds a second letter by its own glowing hand. Resh. Together they form the root Or, light. Leviathan's body erupts in fissures of dawn. One by one, its scales turn transparent, revealing within a swirling cosmos. With a mournful bellow that is equal parts rage and relief, the beast shatters into a rain of stardust that falls softly upon the valley, kindling dormant flowers between tank tracks. The covenant floats free. The centurion touches his chest as though feeling for a heartbeat he feared lost. His storm armor dims. Nathaniel steps beside him. Every empire fears disorder. But what is faith, if not trust in a story unfinished? The centurion lowers his gaze. Rome once called itself eternal, yet time breaks all strongholds except those forged in humility. In silence, he kneels, offering broken helm and fracturing spear to Miriam. She sets them on the ground like spent weapons at a funeral. The armies, witnessing their leaders kneel, lower rifles. Some weep in relief they do not understand. Others whisper prayers in dozens of tongues. Colonel Barak radios headquarters, voice trembling. "Cease fire. I repeat, cease fire. Something bigger than war just walked among us." Evening descends, gentle as a lullaby. Fires are out, the wounded tended. Doctors and chaplains move side by side. The covenant tablet now hovers above an improvised altar of stacked field crates. 2 letters glow upon it. Aleph Resh, waiting for a third. When finished, the root will spell Or, the complete Hebrew word for light, a promise that darkness will not hold final say. Eliab, bandaged but breathing, gestures Nathaniel closer. "A covenant written by 2 watchers will need 3 strokes, he whispers. "Yours must be last." Nathaniel's pulse quickens. "Why me? I've already wielded mercy." "Because the first letter was prophecy, the second compassion, and the third must be stewardship." The watchman inscribes the guardrail. Miriam takes Nathaniel's hand, guiding him to the tablet. The valley hushes. Even distant helicopters mute their rotors. The rabbi watches from the chariot, face a lantern of pride and sorrow combined. Nathaniel lifts a fingertip shining with molten stardust present, left over from Leviathan. He hesitates, sensing weight beyond calculation. One stroke here could heal centuries, or fracture them anew. He thinks of refugee caravans, of lullabies swallowed by sirens, of children drawing suns on bunker walls. He thinks of prophets under fig trees, of olive shoots stubbornly sprouting through shattered pavement. He thinks of Miriam's courage, Eliab's lament, even the centurion's awakening. He thinks of the watchers yet unborn. He draws the third letter, Vav, the simple, slender hook that in Hebrew means and, the sign of connection, bridge, continuation. The moment the line completes, the letters fuse. Aleph, Resh, Vav, Or, light linked by a promise. The covenant ignites in apricot radiance. Rings of color pulse outward, traveling beyond Megiddo, beyond Israel, mapping luminous pathways across the globe. Wherever the wave touches, for a heartbeat, hatred falters. In distant capitals, pens pause above orders. On quiet streets, rivals meet eyes and see not strangers but echoes of their own yearning. It is momentary, fragile, yet real. Above the tell, the fiery chariot's wheels rotate once more. The rabbi descends, his sandals touching earth soft with stardust. He regards the covenant, satisfaction and melancholy mingling like twilight hues. The word is written, he murmurs, but the sentence remains to be lived. A hush of anticipation answers him, the valley itself waiting for the next chapter. The rabbi turns to Nathaniel and Miriam. Eliab straightens, leaning on his scroll pouch staff. The tablets once given on Sinai were kept in an ark of acacia wood. This covenant requires a vessel of living hearts. Carry it, not as object, but as action. Guard its flame each time injustice dims hope, each time fear cages love. The centurion bows his head. Then I will walk behind them, shield raised, though Rome no longer commands me. Eliab straightens, leaning on his scroll pouch staff. I will wander among cities, singing the new word until memory catches the tune. Colonel Barak salutes, tears bright in desert dusk. Israel will keep watch, yet share watch, for light knows no borders. Miriam closes her eyes. The shard dissolves into motes that embed themselves in her skin like sparks. And I, she whispers, will write every dawn with its glow. Night falls fully, but stars shine unusually bright as if cleansed. On the valley floor, soldiers gather broken drones into piles, unsure if they are cleaning up or preparing altars. The blank space inside every heart tingles with possibility. High on the tell, Nathaniel feels his chest lighten. The brand on his wrist cools. He realizes the watchers are not 2 or 3, it is whoever carries the covenant forward, and that includes every listener who has followed their footsteps until now. He looks to the camera that does not exist, but to the countless unseen witnesses of this tale, eyes behind screens, hearts beating in synchrony across continents. He does not speak, yet the covenant glows a little brighter, as though answering their silent pledge. Miriam asks softly, "What name shall we give this chapter of the story?" Nathaniel considers, then smiles. Genesis again. A new wind rises from the west, warm with jasmine. It rustles through broken flags, tangles in hair, and for a moment everything, tanks, scrolls, spirits, feels lighter than air. Far beneath, in the chasm once occupied by Leviathan, something stirs in the darkness. A heartbeat slow but steady. A single obsidian scale remains unshattered, pulsing faint crimson. From the shadows steps a figure cloaked in shredded twilight, picking up the scale, tucking it into a sleeve. Only his eyes show beneath the hood, and they burn jade. He gazes toward the tell where lights shimmer, where hope has written its daring word. On his lips curls the echo of an ancient vow too long kept. Light is beautiful, he whispers, but every flame casts a shadow. He turns, vanishing into a tunnel that should not exist, carrying with him the seed of a new night. Before we unfurl the last scroll of this saga, pause and bind yourself to the light. Tap subscribe now so every ember of truth finds you wherever you wander. Ready your heart. The final chapter begins. Stars blink like watchfires over Megiddo while the new covenant tablet hovers above field crates, pulsing amber. Nathaniel, Miriam, Eliab, and the humbled centurion stand watch as medics guide the wounded to rest under makeshift canopies. The rabbi has slipped away on a whisper of wind, promising to return when the tale's spine bends to its final word. Yet, somewhere beneath the tell, a realm of fractured tunnels where centuries sleep, a cloaked figure cradles the lone obsidian scale shed by Leviathan. Its jade-bright eyes smolder with a hunger older than Sinai. He calls himself Azariel, once angel of dusk, now neither exile nor citizen of any heaven. In his cupped palms the scale throbs, each beat releasing threads of night-black vapor that swallow every torch. Stone shivers. Dust curls into black snow. With a silent vow, Azariel slips upward, shadow bleeding through cracks like oil. The valley lies in hush when an earthquake tears the ground, splitting the covenant's altar. The amber tablet wavers but holds its glow. Colonel Barak whirls, weapon raised. From the rupture, Azariel rises, cloak flaring like dying twilight. His voice is softer than moth wings, yet fills the night. Light was never meant to reign alone. All dawns require dusk. Hand me the covenant, and balance shall endure. Nathaniel steps forward, spear of light balanced at hip. We wrote balance into the covenant, prophecy, compassion, stewardship. Darkness as prison is ended. Darkness as rest may remain, but not tyranny. Azariel smiles, revealing teeth fine as obsidian needles. Rest becomes rebellion when dawn lingers too long. With a flick of his wrist, he drives the scale into the earth. Veins of black glass surge across the ground, swallowing campfires, freezing engines mid-spark. Soldiers scramble, rifles muted by creeping onyx. The obsidian roots seek the Covenant. Miriam lifts her hand, shard stars glittering beneath skin. Nathaniel, the Covenant cannot be moved, but hearts can. She presses her palm to the tablet. A ring of warm light pushes outward, halting the black tide a heartbeat. Azariel's grin sharpens. Clever child. He hurls a lance of shadow that arcs toward Miriam. The centurion, once servant of empire, intercepts, raising mercy, now forged of sunrise and storm. Shadow crashes into living lightning, exploding into midnight feathers that dissolve in dawn. Rome is dust, the centurion says, yet I serve a banner brighter than any eagle. Azariel's eyes narrow. Then taste the fate of eagles. With a gesture, he summons spectral wings, razor-edged, slashing air. The centurion braces, but the ghostly blades carve wounds in his armor. Sparks hiss across steel and skin alike. Nathaniel vaults forward, spear pivoting into a shield of starlight. He absorbs the next volley, pain shuddering up his arm. Eliab, sing! Though ribs ache from earlier blows, Eliab lifts cracked voice in a psalm of radiant grief. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Each note flares gold, stitching invisible seams across rips in reality. Where melody flows, obsidian veins retreat. Azariel snarls, raising both hands. The earth groans. From 100 fissures rise miniature Leviathans, shadows in serpentine form, eyes like coals. They surge toward the altar. Miriam spreads fingers. The Covenant flashes. Letters leap skyward, weaving a net of pure hymn. But the swarm clamors, pushing closer. One slip and they will devour the word or forever. Barak shouts orders. Troops form concentric circles, rifles loaded with new experimental rounds of photonic plasma scavenged from a downed drone. Bursts of white-blue fire shred rank upon rank of shadow serpents. Yet for every one that falls, 2 more crawl from gloom. Nathaniel meets Miriam's gaze. The Covenant is strong, but its guardians are not endless. We must seal the scale. How? She cries over the clash. He remembers the brand's silent command. Shamar, watch. Not only observe, stand sentinel where breach begins. The scale is root. Destroy root. Harvest withers. He flicks spear into throwing grip. Cover me. Then sprints toward Azariel, weaving through chaos. The dark angel senses him, lifts a wall of black glass. Nathaniel slams against it, spear sparking. The wall ripples but holds. Azariel murmurs, light alone cannot pierce my dusk. But dawn, Nathaniel pants. Is light embracing darkness? He lowers spear tip, feeling the brand warming into mercy's flame. He breathes once, then plunges the spear straight through his own chest, letting the menorah fire of his heart flow along the shaft. Spear point glows sunrise white. He yanks it free, the wound sealing instantly in golden lines of scar. The spear now sings with blended hues, amber, rose, indigo, dawn incarnate. He hurls it. The spear shreds the black wall, tears through Azariel's breast, pinning him to the fissured earth beside the obsidian scale. Azariel screams, a sound of rusted gates tearing from hinges. Shadows recoil, serpentlings fade, yet the scale pulses, feeding on Azariel's anguish, drawing energy to unleash something vaster. Cracks spider through ground, spreading toward the Covenant. Miriam rushes, drops to knees by wounded angel. His jade eyes flicker between fury and awe. She gathers spilled dusk in her palms, shadows that curl like smoke, and kneads them into threads, weaving them back through the wound with light from her sigil. Balance, she whispers, not annihilation. Azariel gasps, pain softening. The obsidian veins slow. Nathaniel kneels too, placing hand atop the scale. Its surface sears, but he refuses release. Memories of every war fought on this soil flood him. Anger, fear, vengeance, but he offers them to the Covenant's glow, transmuting violence to vigilance. the scale dims. Eliab's voice climbs final crescendo, psalm cresting on hallelujah. At that cry, dawn breaks full, sun cresting Carmel's ridge, bathing valley in honeyed fire. Obsidian streaks evaporate, leaving only glassy scars that reflect morning light like rivers. The covenant hovers higher, letters rearrange, adding a fourth stroke, Tav, the seal. Now Or becomes Orot, lights plural, for dawn belongs to many. Azariel rises slowly, wound sealed by the woven threads. His cloak dulls to smoke gray, eyes soft emerald. He bows to Miriam. I guarded twilight too jealously. Teach me dawn. She smiles, offering hand. He takes it. His shadow wings melt into cloak tails. The centurion plants battered spear. If dusk itself can stand with dawn, armies have no quarrel. He signals, cease standing. Soldiers lower arms. Barak radios again. Megiddo stands down. Repeat, stand down. Conflict resolved. Relief cracks his voice. The rabbi steps from morning haze, silhouette transfixed by sun. Chariot of flame dissolves into gentle cinder falling around him like saffron petals. He gathers Nathaniel, Miriam, Eliab, centurion, Azariel beneath covenant's glow. Light multiplies, he says, when rivals choose to rise shoulder to shoulder instead of blade to blade. You have written a living covenant. Its ink is choice. He turns to unseen listeners, those same hearts invited at the story's dawn. Carry this ink, he speaks to them, into cubicles and classrooms, into marketplaces and parliaments. Each day offers parchment. The covenant tablet tilts heavenward, dissolving into 1,000 motes. They drift across the valley, settle onto soldiers, vines, dust, screens wherever someone watches this tale. Each mote becomes faint brand, a reminder to guard the dawn within. Nathaniel feels his wrist cool. Brand fades to quiet ember. Task complete, yet ongoing. Miriam's sigil mirrors his, subtle, steadfast. They clasp hands, eyes reflecting limitless blue sky. Azariel studies rising sun as though seeing color for the first time. Twilight will return tonight, he murmurs, but it will bring stars, not dread. Eliab laughs, deep and free. We will write psalms in those stars. The centurion gazes east where roads wind back to Jerusalem. And Rome, whatever is left of it in our world, might learn humility after all. The rabbi breathes dawn air, content. Then this chapter closes, he says, but the book lives on every heartbeat that keeps watch. Nathaniel faces invisible audience one last time, voice steady. The world is watching, but far more will understand now, because you were here. Keep the covenant alive. Be light and guard twilight. He lifts hand in quiet blessing. Miriam adds, eyes shining. Subscribe in spirit and deed. Let every dawn find us ready. Sun climbs. The tell of Megiddo glitters, no longer battlefield, but mirror of possibilities. Thus, the prophecy's final seal rests not in stone, but in story. A story written every sunrise by those who choose courage over conquest, mercy over mastery, dawn over endless night. I hope you have subscribed to this channel because the next story coming will leave you awe.